Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. I just wanted to present some videos sort of as a substitute for lectures for this chapter one that we're studying. And so hopefully this will help, especially when you actually start doing some of the problems in each of these lessons within chapter one. So I'm going to do three different videos, one for each lesson, just to sort of break them up a little bit. Lesson 1.1 talks a little bit about an intro to accounting and also talks about something called a personal net worth statement. And so we'll go through those two things, and then I'll show you kind of where to find that stuff to practice those problems. In this lesson, we'll talk a little bit about accounting and what it is and how it's used, and then we'll talk about the preparing a net worth statement and its purpose. So what is accounting? The role of accounting is really to provide information to business owners, managers, and investors, and anybody else to help make good business decisions and also to measure performance. It's one of the key metrics that are used in business to see how a business is doing and has been doing in business operations. So accounting is known also as the language of business. It is planning, recording, analyzing, and interpreting financial information and used to make good business decisions. So in this, the numbers of accounting do tell a story, that is for sure. But being able to actually interpret and analyze those numbers is what's used by managers and business owners to help make good business decisions. So think about the example kind of mentioned in the text. Imagine you own a store and one of your products is selling juice. So maybe you own a convenience store and you sell juice. It would be great to know, obviously, how much of that juice you sold. And you can track that pretty easily and use accounting methods to determine how much you bought and how much you sold. It could even tell you a little bit about what your profit was based on how much you paid for the juice wholesale and how much you were able to sell it for times the amount that you actually sold. But in addition to knowing whether or not you're engaging in a good business decision by selling this juice, you can look at other things by analyzing the accounting information. So you could see how much you paid for it, whether it be cheaper from other suppliers. You could see something like, did you have any waste? Did the juice go off? How long can it sit on the shelf before you have to throw it away? And so that might impact how much you actually buy at any one point. Do you sell more juice in the summertime versus the wintertime? So based on the month, how much juice would you need to buy to be able to sell that stuff? How much of your business operations is that juice purchase doing? And is it a good product for you to keep selling? Or might it be better to focus your efforts on something else? So accounting goes into all of those details. And so really, if you are going to be opening a business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're going to work at a business, it's great to know some basic things about accounting. Some key terms here in accounting in your personal life, some key terms that you go through. And so that's what you were kind of working with yesterday when you were doing the vocabulary exercise. As we go through these videos, I will define some of the ones that are big and that we'll actually use, but other ones you can just kind of find in the text as you're reading through. So the next part we're going to work through is talking about a personal net worth statement. And so net worth is, as we'll see in this next equation, something that's dealing with a person. But in business, and from pretty much here on, you'll hear that net worth being called equity or owner's equity, which is what we're going to work on in lessons 1, 2, and 1, 3. So the personal net worth statement deals with the accounting equation. And so the accounting equation down here at the bottom, total assets minus total liabilities equals net worth, is a form of the accounting equation that we'll see basically throughout this entire course. It's extremely important. It shows up again and again and again. And so we will work with that. And it also shows up in lessons 1, 1, and 1, 2. So to prepare a net worth statement, this is something that you would kind of do. The purpose of it is to show your own personal financial health, which is net worth. So the idea being that you tally up what your assets are, and assets might be the cash that you have on hand, something like a class ring or a car or something that you could sell for cash. They're basically the things that you own. Liabilities, on the other hand, are the things that you owe. So do you owe money to your parents? Do you have student loan debt? Do you have a mortgage that you owe money on? Stuff like that. So what is the money that you actually owe? And if you subtract the money that you owe from the money that you own, or the things that you own, you get net worth. So the idea is that owning things is great. And sometimes we see things like in the news, people owning $1 million houses, really, really expensive cars. But the story that we don't always get is their net worth. So they might own those things, or they might own portions of those things. They might own a lot of money or owe a lot of money as well. And so you can compare net worth between individuals. And so somebody who doesn't own very much, but owes very little, might have a higher net worth than somebody who owns a ton of stuff and who also owes a ton of stuff or has a lot of debt. And so we'll kind of work a little bit more with comparison, but this is basically how you prepare it. So on your lesson review, which I'll show in a second, you will prepare a net worth statement for two individuals, one kind of a practice, and you can use this image to help you prepare it. Two things to note, in addition to just looking at the top of the screen here and making sure that each piece is going in, so the name, title of the document or the sheet, net worth statement, and the date. Assets here. Assets are listed in terms of liquidity. And liquidity is a term for saying how easily something can be changed into cash. And so a savings account or money in a checking account is basically like cash. You can go to an ATM, you can withdraw money super easily. It's very, very liquid. Something like a house is liquid, but not as liquid as money in your savings account, because you can turn it into cash, but you have to hire a realtor, you have to list it on the market, you have to sell the house. Sometimes that could take months. So it's not as liquid as cash. So you need to list things in order of liquidity for the assets. So in this case, this person has cash of $2,000. They also have a class ring for $250. That's what it's worth. But if they wanted to turn that $250 into cash, they'd have to sell it, and they'd have to find somebody to buy it, and that might be kind of hard to do. Liabilities, on the other hand, don't deal with liquidity as much. They deal with, you just list things in terms of, and so this is not necessarily correct here, but you list them in alphabetical order. So Ace Electronics should probably be on top, owed to parents. Each category, assets and liabilities, have a subtotal. So total assets at 2,000 plus 250 gives you 2,250. Separately, you add up total liabilities. 50 plus 125 is 175. And then at the very bottom, you have you're calculating your net worth. So that's this equation down here. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. So in the end, you subtract assets, just like the equation down here. Total assets minus total liabilities equals your net worth. So 2,250 minus 175 gives you 2,075. And this double underline that you see right here is really common in accounting, and you'll see that it's like it means like it's like the bottom line number. So subtotals are indicated by a single underline in accounting, and grand totals or the bottom line numbers are indicated by a double line number. So that is personal net worth statements. We'll move on to lessons 1, 2, and 1, 3. But as we're going through all of these, your assignment today is to go in and do all of these end of lesson reviews. And some of you got in there yesterday and did them. And there was a little bit of confusion with that, so I apologize, but we'll make it more clear. But eventually today, you're going to go through and do all of the lesson reviews. You can use this spreadsheet or this presentation that I prepared to help you with it, or you can go back into the book and read.